So I'm Simon Mackenzie. I'm a co-writer on the remake of Flashback. Flashback, it's a science fiction action adventure. The gameplay has everything, from shooting, puzzles, platform, and a great story. And one of the key elements that it's one of the few games I completed back in the day because the story made me want to get to the end. And we've honored that original story. There's like, if you played the original, there's surprises in there for you, but we kept those key elements that I loved when I first played it. that's what had worried me. This is Paul Cuisset's game, and this is Paul Cuisset's remake. The original developer has done this. This is, Paul said, this is the version he had in his head in 1990. Technology is now at a stage where he can put his original vision out there for everybody. Well, it's how everything looks. It's, the game looks beautiful. It's 3D graphics using the Unreal Engine. All the key elements of the gameplay are there. It's a game I loved. I literally, when it came up, I was jumping up and down going, pick me as a writer. This is a game that got me into gaming. It has all the famous kind of like sort of locations from the first game. So you start on like the Titan jungles, you go to kind of like sort of New Washington, then you eventually head back to Earth, and Earth's just amazing. And then of course you go beyond Earth entirely. I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't played it. Oh, it is gorgeous. Yeah. So, as you've seen here, just the load screen we have shows you kind of elements of Earth, and it has that whole kind of. I mean, it's beautiful. I love Earth's one of my favorites, and that's the thing. The games. When I was growing up, we didn't have the graphic ability now. It was all about the gameplay. The gameplay had to be fantastic, and like Flashback had that, and Flashback had one of the first games I really remember with those story elements as well that sucked me in. So now you've got everything. You've got a 21st century looking game with just awesome gameplay. It has been the gameplay. I've had the fortune to kind of like, especially over the last couple of days, to sit with people with no idea that Flashback is a remake. For them, it's a new game, it's a digital title, and they've sat down and they played it, and they've come to me and they've gone, oh, this is great, can you tell us a bit more about it? And I tell them the history, and they've enjoyed it for its own merits. It's not a nostalgia. It's not just like sort of like, oh, I love this game, I'd like to play a pretty good. The gameplay's fantastic. It hooks in kind of like sort of old fans and you alike. I wasn't on the development team. I got brought in by Paul to work on the story. Paul was a hero of mine growing up for doing Flashback. Paul was involved in every element of the story we guys had passed back. It was a really collaborative, great experience working with the guys at Vector Cell. But for me, it was kind of like, because I worked on the story as a writer, so it was just to like tweaking the elements, making sure kind of like, especially with Comrade, the central hero, that he remained who he was. And he's a great character, and he's different from a lot of kind of modern characters, because he has the darkness, but he has an innocence about him. And as he learns who he is, that's part of the experience of the game.
Pour l'équipe de Delphine, on était au départ, je crois qu'on était 8 ou 9 dans ces eaux-là.
C'était vraiment une petite structure, et donc nous on était tout en haut, dans les combles.
Le vieux cliché du groupe de potes qui font leur jeu dans leur cave.
Paul de Setteville, qui était le directeur de Delphine Software, est venu nous voir en me disant, écoute Paul, il faut que tu travailles sur un jeu, parce qu'on a l'opportunité de faire l'adaptation d'un film qui est Le Parrain. J'avais décidé de transcrire en fait l'histoire de Michael Corleone dans le futur, dans un futur où il serait poursuivi par des mafiosi.
On avait un magnétoscope, une vieille télé, et en fait on avait filmé avec des caméras dans les couloirs ou dehors. Certains ont eu la honte de leur vie. Et donc on récupérait ces animes-là, on reproduisait chaque anime à la main, une par une. On les reproduisait après sur l'animation de l'Amiga, puisque c'était sur Amiga qu'on travaillait à l'époque.
Et finalement, quand on a montré cette maquette à la direction, il y a eu un blanc, un silence, parce que c'était tellement différent de l'univers du Parrain que voilà, ils ont tout de suite compris que ça allait pas coller. Mais ils m'ont dit, voilà, ton truc est génial, alors, je pense qu'on peut en faire quelque chose, et voilà, c'est comme ça que Flashback est né. Un remake 20 ans après, c'est quelque chose qui doit se mûrir en fait. Et finalement, au bout de 20 ans, on se dit oui, tiens, il y a peut-être quelque chose à faire, parce que ça a tellement évolué, ça a tellement changé qu'il y a moyen de faire quelque chose de nouveau et d'intéressant.
Flashback was the child of all those super 90s sci-fi films. We really wanted to make sure that that imprint of the 90s is in there. So every time you see a replicant, there's a chance he'll say something that somebody in Blade Runner might have said, or a Total Recall, typical, or a cease and desist from RoboCop. You know, you'll have an eventual wink and a nod to some of those great classics that Flashback, for me, is part of.
On a quelque chose de beaucoup plus fluide, beaucoup plus réactif qu'avant.
Vu qu'on est passé en 3D, on a vraiment fait un gros travail sur la vie dans le décor, tout ce qui est animé, les vapeurs, les brouillards, les textures animées.
J'ai repris en fait des passages de l'ancien Flashback et je l'ai incorporé dans le nouveau level design. C'était plus dans le désir de rester fidèle, mais surtout de ne pas casser ce qui était intéressant.
Sur le gameplay lui-même, on a beaucoup changé de choses aussi parce que le système de combat était relativement limité à l'époque, même s'il marchait très bien pour l'époque. Je pense qu'aujourd'hui, il y avait vraiment besoin de dépoussiérer. La difficulté, je pense, c'est de préserver, en fait, de ne pas trahir le jeu original et d'apporter tout le confort moderne, en quelque sorte, aux joueurs sans que ça nuise, en fait, ni à la difficulté, ni au challenge.
What we tried to do was to keep the heart and soul of the game, and I think we succeeded in that.